Did you actually plan to do 30 days? That was your goal?
Well,
we weren't quite sure. We didn't want to be too locked in on a specific number. We wanted to have it be intuitive and really feel into it and kind of, let our bodies tell us. So we almost stopped after like day 3, and then we're like, oh, let's go to 10. And then we got to 10. We're like, oh, let's do another week. And then, to be honest, roughly between like 14 and 21 to 24 I think we were like the best.
Right. Like we could have kept going.
And we were like, oh man, maybe we'll go to 40. Maybe we'll go to, I don't know. And then around the mid to late 20s, we started realizing, all right, let's start winding this thing down.
Well, that's one of my biggest questions, because if I had thought that we were going to do 44 days, I would have said, heck no.
Right. Right. We decided we didn't want to set ourselves up for it. So we wanted to create the success.
And I started, my journey of it was because something was going on at that time. So my first 2 weeks was dry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was quite the journey. These guys did about 7 days or 10 days of that. But I had started earlier. That's why we all went from dry to juice and water right after. But it was an inspiration, and it caught us up. As a matter of fact, we were going to a doctor and a bunch of practitioners, all natural, organic. And on this Friday that we're going for dinner, finally they booked this over like months. I'm like, sorry, we're fasting. Which is another part of it, because
it's super awkward. Because even though there was all this food at the table, like they had made like such a beautiful meal.
It was beautiful.
It took them about 20 minutes to actually put something on their plate,
the first bite,
and then it took them another 5 minutes to have their first bite. And after their like 6th bite, they were done, because it was just, we were organically syncing with each other. So because we'd been fasting for a few days, they automatically didn't want more food. And we started to notice that when people came to our house, like they just wouldn't eat. Like, do you want anything to drink? Do you want anything to eat? No, like it just, everybody. Yeah.
When we were doing all the science on us, because when we started doing this fascial work, things changed. Like I'm 3 inches taller than I was in my tallest height. Like that's a big change. And so now we want brain scans and photonic scans, and we want to poke and prod. At least I, because I'm the consummate scientist. So
we had all the equipment and stuff.
Yeah, so we had a family come in for brain mechanics, Kareem and Liliana, and they brought their 2 kids. They stayed with us for 6 weeks because there's no other way to do this. And because the only way to truly test it, we can't go to a lab. We have to test this every day and see what's going on
in real time.
And at first, we wouldn't eat dinner with them, because our whole open concept, basically, they would eat dinner, and we realized that it was uncomfortable for us not to be there during dinner. So we would sit down and we would have dinner with them. We would commune over the food, over the energy of the food and why we're there, but we weren't eating.
It still wasn't the same. Yeah, it's still awkward. They still eat less. They still, it's
right.
Socially, it's there's like a gap.
Yeah, we noticed some on the social side. What you pointed out there, we never really noticed. It seemed like people around us just wouldn't stop eating.
Right.
We noticed, like, oh my God, everybody. We were just reflecting a little bit too about how it just, when you start to take it away, you see how conditioned we are to just build everything we do in our life is like based around food and eating, and how often we eat as collectively as a society. How it's just very rarely do we even go more than like a couple of hours without eating something. And once we took it away, it seemed like every time I saw someone, I'm like, you're eating again? We're just eating it out. It just seemed like, but at the same time, I would have been doing the same thing, a few weeks prior. And I started to recognize all of the triggers, the environmental triggers, and how almost between the commercials on TV or everywhere you go, and it wasn't like I was like, oh my God, I'm so hungry, I want to eat all of this, but I could still feel how the chips bags or whatever, like the writing on it, the colors of it, all these things were triggering like visceral feelings in my body, and how every single thing basically in our life is somehow bringing us back to that.
Now, can you imagine if drug dealers, like pharmacology or street drug dealers, if they did the same thing? Right. And in pharmacology, they have done it, and they've been slapped constantly for doing it. So but all of these feelings and emotions, you're right, the colors, the words that are said, they're creating emotional responses.
Yes, exactly.
And these emotional responses is what we're trying to resolve. And one of the fastest way is to put another emotion in. When I eat food, it fires my endocrine system. But what happened for us in the fast, and if you guys can relate to this, we were looking at everything. So one of the things is we became because we're also doing fascial maneuvers. So our fascial layers are opening up. And after the third day of the fascia just, it's like, I've been stretching this for at this point for 18 months for the fascial maneuvers. I've been working with my therapist at the Human Garage to do it. And then the third day I just went boom, and it just released all that stuff. Yeah.